So with me going back in and playing a bunch of old racing games and kind of testing some out that I've never played and also just experimenting with some of them, there was a game that popped up in the PlayStation Store that I have never played. That was going to be V Rally 4. Now, I'm not going to lie, guys, this game was also going to be on sale for literally $3. So I was like, you know what? Why not buy this and try this game out as I have never played it? And it's obviously going to be a quote unquote rally focused game that to me was probably going to be something along the lines of Dirt 4, but a tad different. Now, the reason why I do say that is a lot of people are probably going to be looking at some of these games going, okay, so we are going to have something along the lines of Dirt 4. We're going to have, Dirt 5. We're then going to have Dirt Rally. There's going to be other rally games out there like WRC and stuff, but those are, I would say, probably going to be along the lines of like a sim-focused game. And then we're going to have something like V Rally 4. If you guys are wondering, this game came out September 6, 2018. So it is going to be around 6 years old now, which is pretty insane. So time is obviously flying. And I guess you can actually say that's 7 years because I obviously can't count. But either way, though, this game is going to be fairly old and something I have never played before. But one of the reasons why I did want to jump on here and try this game out is because, well, I have been playing a lot of rally games recently, going back in and playing every single old Dirt game, and also playing Dirt 5 a bit, Dirt 4, so I'm like, you know what, let me go try this game, which is obviously going to come out after Dirt 4, which is pretty insane. If you are wondering, Dirt 4 came out June 6, 2017, so this game is going to be a little bit over a year past that game, and we all do know it's probably going to look a tad different. Now, a few positive things about V Rally 4, guys. I gotta admit, it's not a bad looking game by any means, to be honest. And I would actually say the overall graphic fidelity of the game and the way this game is going to look is probably going to be fairly decent. One of the other things I do like about this game is the fact that you are going to be in different places. Like, for example, we are going to be in somewhere like Detroit for something like the Extreme Kana, which that is pretty much going to be like Gymkhana from Dirt 3 if you are wondering. A tad different but kind of similar. I might as well talk about these game modes a bit, man. But this one is going to be kind of, so you're going to spawn into an area. It's going to have like an obstacle course where you have to drift around stuff and you have to jump over certain things. You're not going to have to like grab things or drift there to grab your points and all that, or you have to drift in some areas. It's basically a track or a said race in an area. One of my favorite ones I did end up doing was going to be on an airfield, guys. I gotta admit, that entire track was dope. You actually jump building to building over that, and then you had to do like a donut around something, then jump out of it, and then land on, go around in the dirt, and do some other stuff. So I gotta admit, those tracks were actually going to be pretty dope, man. Besides something like Detroit, you then end up heading over to something like Monument Valley, which that could be in like a buggy. So yes, we're going to have the buggies in the game. And what's kind of funny, guys, is one of the buggies in this game is literally the one I was driving a lot in Grand Theft Auto 5 here. I will show you guys what this one is going to be. It's the buggy SMG here. You are probably going to recognize this thing from GTA 5, man, because it's obviously the exact same vehicle on that one. Not saying that GTA 5, did it first or anything, but this is obviously where this buggy is from. And what's kind of funny is this reminds me of a trophy truck, not necessarily a buggy, as in that game it's going to be a trophy truck, but in this one it is a buggy. But either way, though, you are going to have the buggy type of tracks to where there's going to be jumps and obviously tighter corners. Some of the tracks actually had different routes you had to do, which I did find those to be fun. Like, one might have a bigger jump, and then you have to take like a tighter turn. The other one might be a tad faster. Then you have like a smaller jump toward the end of it and not as much of a turn. So you kind of get to pick which route you want to go and stuff like that. Then you also have the regular races, which I would say the buggy did capture that fairly well. I did enjoy them. Now in this game, the buggy is technically going to be the same class as like a trophy truck. So if you guys are wondering why the trucks are considered buggies, they're kind of in one in this one. But overall, though, I would say the buggy slash the trophy trucks were going to be a pretty fun experience. And I gotta admit, guys, one thing I've really noticed about this game is stock vehicles are probably going to feel kind of terrible once you do end up unlocking some things for them, which, if you are wondering, there is going to be upgrades you can get for the vehicles, which I will show this here quick. Let me head over here, guys, head over to the garage here. So let's say you did want to upgrade one of your cars. There's obviously going to be things you can do. I'll look at the Honda here. You will be able to buy upgrades, making the car faster, faster. And in order to get this, all you pretty much have to do is just do the races and do like the tournaments and all that, and you will eventually end up getting this stuff maxed out and leveled up, which you guys can see here. I can do this, like if I buy this one here, that is going to be max level, so it's going to increase like your car stuff and all that, which I gotta admit, this really is going to make a difference. And the reason why I did want to show this is because some of the cars being stock, man, feel kind of terrible. So upgrading them and getting some more stuff really does seem to help them a lot. And I will talk about the physics of this game a bit later, because I do know that's probably going to be a topic that many people are probably wondering about. But the other part of with that, we're then going to have the V Rallycross, which again, guys, if you did end up playing Dirt 4, you're probably going to know what Rallycross is. Basically, any dirt game prior to 4, and obviously 5 has it too, but Rallycross, you will be on a track. There will be some jumps there. You are going to go around. You're also going to have the Joker lap as well, which is something they normally do in Rallycross, and I personally do like it. It is kind of going to be like an outlier type of thing in one part of the track that you have to go around at least one time around that race, which I would say isn't that bad. I normally do it on the first lap and then catch up to the AI and stuff, but overall, though, the Rallycross tracks were going to be decently fun, and I did notice with the damaging of the vehicles and stuff like that, you definitely have to keep an eye on it, because sometimes I was kind of destroying my car, bro, or I'd probably have to restart because I'd hit something. So if you are going to crash and you damage your vehicle a bit, the car might be slower, it might not perform as right, or, you know, not as good as something like that. So I would say that's a pretty dope feature, and something I think a lot of games could probably benefit from, which the other dirt games are similar if you're going to be running damage and stuff like that. We are then going to have the regular rally after that, which, let's be honest, guys, every single rally game or something that has rally in the name is probably going to have actual rally events, which is where you're going to start somewhere and have a longer track. You're going to have to listen to the thing and go around turns and go, okay, we'll go over crest, tight turn here. You're going to have hairpin turn and like 500 yards and stuff like that. So this game is going to have rally and stuff like that, which is probably not surprising. I did enjoy some of the tracks, like you'll be in Siberia and Russia, then you'll do something in a different location like Japan or something like that, or Kenya. So there is going to be different locations you will visit, which I gotta admit, I do like the way they did end up kind of having like different areas of the entire world and different places. That is dope. You are going to revisiting, or I guess you could say revisit some of the maps, whether that's like the USA or maybe Japan in some areas. And that's probably going to be a cool thing, going to different countries. And I think they did a good job of capturing it to where the graphics are going to look fairly decent. Now, the final one here you're also going to encounter in this game is going to be the hill climb. This was one of my favorite things to do in the original Dirt game, guys. I absolutely loved it. I will show you the vehicles here that you can use in the hill climb if you were wondering which cars are in this game. I've actually never even heard of this thing, the Paris S62. What in the world is that? We're then going to have the Mitsubishi here, which that car is going to look wild, guys. We're then going to have the Norma. This thing is going to look insane as well. And then we're also going to have the Suzuki SX4 Pikes Peak, which you guys will probably recognize this car from multiple other games, including Dirt. So I would say that's not going to be that surprising seeing this car in the game. And also seeing hill climb in this game kind of did surprise me a bit. Like, I wasn't expecting it to be in here, but I'm like, yo, this is going to be pretty dope. I'm glad to see it, as it was legit one of my favorite things in the original Dirt. Someone also mentioned that Gran Turismo 2 had hill climb with the Suzuki in it. So that was going to be dope. To be honest, I would love to see another game with hill climb in it. That would be cool. And that was something that genuinely surprised me a lot when I did end up playing V-Rally, is I wasn't expecting to see hill climb in it. Besides that, though, that's pretty much going to do it for most of the classes you are going to encounter in this game. And I gotta admit, it kind of had more vehicle classes than I thought it was going to have. I was surprised seeing hill climb and also the buggies in there mixed in with the trophy trucks. But then again, though, a rally game is probably going to have some mix in there, which we're also going to see in the Dirt series. Now, the big elephant in the room I did want to talk about is going to be the physics and the overall handling of the vehicles in the game. Which I gotta admit, guys, I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say Dirt just honestly feels way better when you are racing. And I'm not just saying Dirt 4, I'm also saying Dirt 5 feels better, which you can attack me on that one. But you know what, it kind of does, and I'm gonna say Dirt 4 is better than 5. And obviously the Dirt 1 through 3 is also going to be better than, I guess you could say, the overall physics that are in V-Rally 4. Now, the reason why I do say that is sometimes the cars in this game feel like kind of floaty, and the way you're going to be gripping is sometimes they're not really gripping, and the power of the rally cars is kind of going to feel a bit off in some places. Like you go around a corner and then try to fly out of it, it feels like it takes like 5 to 6 business days to speed up. And then I understand some cars are going to be faster than others and all that, but then again, some of the cars just don't feel all that quick, and that is probably going to be a small gripe. Not really a big issue, but something I was noticing when I was racing. Some of the vehicles, though, when I did upgrade them, like for example, that trophy truck buggy class thing that I was using from Grand Theft Auto, that thing did actually feel much better once I leveled it up. Also similar to that, the Honda Civic Turbo thing, which is going to be the rally car, felt much better when I did end up leveling it up. Before that, it was honestly pretty awful. It is going to handle a tad better once it's leveled up a bit. Now, you can go in and tune some of the vehicles, guys, but I gotta admit, the physics and handling of this game is probably going to be the biggest gripe most players are going to have when they play it, as I kind of feel like in some ways when Nacon is making some of these off-road games, the handling and stuff like that just isn't going to be there, which I kind of feel like you can't see that with MXGP24, you can see it with Test Drive, and also a lot of people aren't the biggest fan of the handling in the WRC generations either. A couple other things I did want to mention though is I did say before, guys, the graphics are going to look good, which I do admit each track I was playing on was going to look pretty dang decent for the most part, and I would say they probably nailed the graphics on like the way the maps look pretty dang well. The only thing is though, there's probably not going to be a ton of tracks you're probably going to be racing on and stuff, as I do feel like many of them are going to be fixed. With that, the entire design of this game is going to be similar in a way to Need for Speed Unbound, but let me explain why. The reason for that is each time you're pretty much going to have 7 days there, and in that you're going to have races that will cost a few days of duration. After that, the next ones are going to be fully randomized on what they will pay you and stuff like that. Some might end up giving you like 70,000, but they're going to take 4 days, so you do one of those. Some will end up paying you, let's say 70,000, but it's going to take 4 days of duration to do that. So if one of the other events are 3 days, you could do that one. If you didn't do the other days on top of it, you're then going to have like a level 1 star, which is going to give you no money, then also 2 stars, a little bit more to 3, and then the 4th one is normally going to be a championship. So it is going to be fully randomized. I did notice the tracks that you do in the championships, or even some of these do tend to be a tad like randomized, which is a good thing, and I do think they really did nail at least the map designs when it does look good at least, even though I would say some of the tracks might end up being repetitive, like racing the exact same track 5 times in the championship, just having like an extra lap or two every time you do 1 or 2 of them probably isn't going to be the most fun experience. Besides that, this game is also going to have the recruitments, which if you are wondering is kind of similar to Dirt 4, but you are going to have something that can help you get like cheaper parts on your vehicle. You can then have something that's going to have cheaper upgrades on your vehicle and stuff like that as well. And you can also sometimes get parts fixed easier than that. And then you can have like a head mechanic that's going to make some things easier and all that. But you're also going to have to pay them some of your salary or like whatever you make from the races. Normally it's probably going to be like 5 to 7 grand depending on how like good the said mechanics and stuff like that are in the game, which honestly that's probably going to come to preference because some of mine aren't that great, I guess you could say, but they have been helping me get things completed in the game. Overall, though, I gotta admit, V-Rally is something I wasn't really expecting. I can tell for one thing, though, they were definitely aiming at going after Dirt 4 in some ways because this game's obviously after. You could tell they were probably trying to take a piece of Dirt 4's pie, and you could probably see that with some of the recruitments and also the tuning in the game, which, don't get me wrong, guys, I do know every single Rallycross game has tuning or rally games, so I wouldn't necessarily say the tuning part is from Dirt 4, because I feel like a lot of racing games can benefit from tuning, so that's a good thing to have in there. But I also feel like a lot of people who might end up jumping on this game on PS5, and you're probably like me, if you saw this game on sale, guys, for $2 or $3, grab it, give it a shot, you might not end up regretting it, but so far I feel like people might play it, and they probably won't have the best overall time in the game. Also, speaking of that, I gotta say it, the vehicle sounds in this game, man, are honestly not all that great. I had to say it. They're okay, but they're definitely not all that great. I feel like other rally games have done much better. And in fact, I'm going to say it, the rally cars in Forza Horizon 5 even sound better in places. which is honestly pretty insane to me. I figured I would talk about this game a bit and do like a mild review on Rally and stuff like that, because we all do know there's a lot of Rally games out there that kind of slipped under, and for me, I've never even heard of this game before, so I did have to play it and give this game a shot. But to be honest, I feel like it tried to capture maybe what Dirt 4 did, maybe a tad different, be something I guess you could even say different, but it did end up capturing good graphics. Honestly, some janky physics and handling are thrown in there in a lot of places, and you're going to have a pretty dope car list for the most part. But do keep in mind some of the tracks are honestly probably going to show up a bit, and you're most likely going to continue going over the exact same ones a bit more often than you probably want to. Do let me know your thoughts on V-Rally 4 in the comments below, guys. Playing this game in 2025 on the PS5 is probably going to be a fairly interesting experience. I would say this right now, do not buy this game at full price, which I believe is $30, I think it is. But if you do find a good sale and the game's like 90% off, might as well give it a shot. You might end up liking part of it and maybe get your $3 worth out of the game instead of getting your $30 worth, which I would not recommend doing that.